If you've been watching this channel since I started making Stargate content back in 2020, you might remember the second video I did, which was an everything wrong with style video about the first episode of Stargate Infinity. Infinity, in my opinion, is the second weirdest thing associated with the Stargate franchise. It was a cartoon made by Deke Entertainment and aired on Fox Kids back in 2002. If you know your dates on Stargate, this would have been around 2 years before Atlantis aired, meaning this show is technically the second Stargate show. Not that that means much to people. See, the general reaction to this show is one of two things. Either confusion by this show's existence, since this might be the first time you're hearing about it, or you think it's one of the worst things ever made. Now, is this show good? No, it's not. The show is basically a Saturday morning cartoon that pushes a message of the day kind of thing. You know, the stuff like don't steal, don't be greedy. It was not received well by most Stargate fans and only lasted one season. But what's sad about this show is it could have been amazing. There's an article by The Companion that talks about the show's development history. I'll leave a link to it in the description. I recommend you check it out, but to sum it up, the people who made this show were not amateurs or bad at their job. They had worked on shows like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Wing Commander Academy, RoboCop Alpha Commando, Exo Squad, and most notably, X-Men the Animated Series. Infinity is not canon with the show's timeline, which sounds like a bad thing, but it did offer the writers a chance to make their own vision of Stargate without having to worry about staying in line with what SG-1 was doing at the time. And from what I read, they had some pretty big ideas for this show, being a big space epic. Most of the voice actors who played the main characters had done good jobs before this and kept doing good work afterwards. Side note, due to how long I think this video is going to end up being, I'm not really going to name the actors till I get to the episodes that cover their specific characters. All in all, the impression I get from this article is that Infinity could have been great. So why is the show so bad? Well, it comes down to two things. First was money, but in a very odd way. See, the writers were paid decently, it was the overseas animators who weren't, getting only about 30% of what the writers got and nowhere near enough time to complete their work. Which was a problem because no one told the writers. So while they were thinking up these big ideas, the animators were not being paid enough to make said ideas a reality. The second issue was government and corporate interference. Not in a cool cover-up way, but regarding certain laws about children's programming. It's something called the 1990s Children's Television Act. This required TV networks to provide programming that furthered positive development of children 16 years or younger. The point of this was to provide more educational TV shows for children that would promote socially desirable behaviors, such as kindness, friendship, and helpfulness, etc., etc. The act has been updated and changed a few times over the years, and when Infinity was being made, broadcast stations needed at least 15% of their daily airtime to be dedicated to this kind of content. This is why a lot of Saturday morning cartoons were like this, as many networks decided to air all this pro-educational material during this time slot. And fortunately for Infinity, Deke and 4Kids decided that's what to do with the show, have it be there to fulfill a government mandate. So instead of the space epic the writers wanted to tell, they were forced to incorporate these really simple life lessons for kids. And it was a giant headache for the writers from what I understand. One of the writers/creators for the show, Michael Edens, had some thoughts on the reaction Infinity got. I'll throw it up on the screen now, you can pause and read it yourself, but it's kind of depressing to read, as it reminds me that sometimes the biggest threat to a franchise is the fandom. While I don't think Infinity is strictly good, it's honestly not the worst thing associated with this franchise. And according to that article, there were fans who sent in positive fan mail, including a child who got her hands on a coloring page for one of the characters that she wanted one of the VAs to sign, which is honestly kind of beautiful. And despite what I said earlier, I have seen people who are not as hard on the show. They admit it has problems, but again, it's not the worst. With news we're getting a new Stargate show on Amazon, I wanted to bring some attention to a part of the franchise I felt has been ignored or overlooked. Again, I'm not saying the show is good, but I think there are things to appreciate in this show and deserves to be looked at. So I'm going to go through and look at every episode of Stargate Infinity. I kind of have to apologize for how the rest of this video is going to play out. See, I wanted to cover Infinity since I started doing Stargate content, and I plan to start back in 2024. Which, fun fact, is when the show is supposed to take place, since it was said to take place 30 years after the movie, but life kind of got in the way and that didn't happen. Part of that was I wasn't sure what the best method to look at this show was. I know I didn't want to do an everything wrong with style video or the general review style like I did with Emancipation. Those styles tend to rely on being very critical or very analytical. Not that those are bad things, I will be doing this as well as making jokes in this video, but Infinity is kind of a unique case. Given its production history, there's just so much oddness in Infinity, I feel it needs to be seen in a more live format. The format I've settled on is something I've seen a channel called the Ink Tank do, which is kind of a more live reaction kind of style, but I can still comment on issues of story, character, or animation. Also, no, this will not be a face reveal. I will be using my avatar in these videos. I know it's not the most expressive one, but hey, if this video does well enough, maybe I'll invest in a more animated one. Anyway, I think I've wasted enough of your time, so let's jump into this breakdown properly with the first 2 episodes of Stargate Infinity, The Decision and Double Duty. And that's where I take over. Okay, we're doing the live version now. I'm sorry if I sound weird. This is how I talked when I did the when I used to work in a newsroom. And we start off here with our characters getting shot at, which is a great start, by the way. Okay, so this is just R.J. Harrison and Stacy Bonner, who we learn later is the niece of Gus Bonner, the best character in the show, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Also, just funny thing, I think it's hilarious that this series starts off with our characters getting shot at and driving over a cliff. I don't know. I feel like that was very weirdly poetically saying something about how this series was going to go. And of course, we got the theme song, built by ancients so long ago. The Stargate A till we broke the code. I'm sorry. Again, I know people dislike this theme song, or I've heard people say they don't like it. I really like it. I think it has that sort of like cartoon energy theme song that I feel so many today don't have. Like, I notice a lot of them tend to go through this orchestral kind of thing. But I don't know, to me, there's just something very nice about having lyrics that actually kind of line up with what the actual show is about. Yeah, just really good theme song. I'm just gonna let it play. I obviously can't show you guys. I can't show you guys the rest of it, but I guarantee you it is good to listen to. Go look it up. I think somebody did like a piano version of it. Again, if I find it, I'll leave a link to it.
In the gully, and if we go right, we'll flip. Sometimes you just have to make a choice and deal with it. Ah.
I love the way he goes, ah, like that's the most prophetic thing he's ever heard. So in my initial video on this, I remember someone said this is an actual tactic used in the military. Like this is an actual kind of situation they'll put people through. So they'll like, kind of learn how to operate in the field. I don't know. I've never been in the military. But I will say one thing is that the only reason, I don't know, something about this just doesn't seem all that right to me. And you know, I don't want to constantly pull up clips from SG1, but I kind of felt like this was necessary to pull up.
Thank you. That was your mistake. It's not always one or the other.
Look at Stargate Command. Like initially it was just like, it was just like a big, like, you know, it was like that, you know, it's the Shenyai Mountain. It's an actual based off a real thing, I think. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm probably wrong there. But like, it was just sort of that circle. But now they got this whole like tower section here with like what looks like, I don't know, like, I guess wind turbines, or probably air filters for the air.
That's what this one is doing. It's keeping the dust level down.
Recording, sir.
So Harrison, how'd your morph drill go?
Oh, and this is the other 2 characters of, or more of the, there's like a cast of 5 but this is Ciel Montoya, and the green guy in the background is Echo. I'll get into more about like individual character stuff as we go along in this series. So if I don't say anything on them now, no, there will be stuff to say later.
Don't ask.
This is where I get off. Stacy?
It's her uncle's trial, Seattle. Want to sneak in with us?
We are needed in the laboratory, but we wish Major Bonner luck.
Yeah, I can't believe Gus Bonner disobeyed orders.
And here we are, the one, the only, the goated Gus Bonner. As the series goes on, you guys will see why this guy is like the best character in the show, which admittedly isn't all that great in comparison to other characters, but you know what? I'm taking what I can here.
Lieutenant, take your men and recon beyond that ridge to the south.
Also, this is probably a good time for me to mention this. So you probably, if you've been watching my channel, I might have mentioned this, or you might notice this armor looks very similar to my little avatar here. That is intentional. I did base it off this. My characters, the parts from it came from the game Battleborn, but I kind of did some color changes. I mixed and matched some models, but this is kind of what I based it off of. I've always liked this. I've liked this armor. I just have always liked it. To me, this feels like, it just feels something kind of unique. And I don't look at this and think, oh, this is trying to be Halo or this is trying to be some other franchise. It feels kind of distinct and unique. And I kind of like that. The guns, I don't know how I feel these guns here, to be honest. They kind of look a bit, I don't know. I guess they look a bit too, you know what it reminds me of? Recently, I went over to my brother's and he had a bunch of these like very like the big Lego blocks for his kids. And we ended up starting building guns with them. Don't worry, we didn't let the kids play with them. They're too young for that. But like, this is kind of what it reminds me of. Like, you just take a bunch of like toy blocks and make a gun or something. And I'm not big a fan of them.
Major, our pre-mission briefing said we were just supposed to establish a base camp. SG Command. I give the orders here, Lieutenant, not Stargate Command. Yes, sir.
Major Bonner sent his troops into an ambush in clear violation of his orders.
Hey, doesn't look the ship. I'm sorry. I just thought of something. Let me go back here. Yeah, you see this ship here? Don't you want to buy this ship, this toy? Don't you guys want to buy this toy? Don't you think this would be a nice toy to buy for your kids? I know that's kind of probably why they designed some of this stuff, and that makes sense that they would design some of this stuff for kids. But you know, I can't help but just think that.
Is there anything you would like to add in your defense?
Being an officer.
Actually, you know what? I'm sorry to pause it here, but like this reminds me of something that's always bothered me about the show is like the color scheme, because I cannot tell like what colors are supposed to mean what exactly in this situation. Because I see two people here, this guy here in the corner, and over here this lady kind of seem to have similar armor, which reminds me to the armor we saw at the beginning with the instructor. Does this mean something? Is this supposed to indicate rank? Because for the life of me, I cannot figure it out. You know, Atlantis also did start to introduce colored uniforms, but like those made sense. Like it was kind of a base color, or sorry, a base design with an added color to indicate what they were, like civilian, medical, military, stuff like that, scientist too. But here, like, I cannot tell for the life of me the difference between, say, like, if Gus's uniform specifically means anything versus, if I can go back here, nope, to like here, like between these two, like they're wearing almost the same one, except this guy's here is a bit more yellow. Gus's is more orange, and I do not know what difference between the two is. I just do not, and it really bothers me. I don't know why, it just does.
Being an officer, a soldier, just being an adult for that matter, means making decisions and living with the consequences. A decision was made and an order was given on PR 6308 that cost us a lot of good men and women. Someone gave the order to send that patrol out, but it wasn't me.
I'm sorry. Okay, Gus. So Gus is pretty good at Gus makes a lot of speeches in this show. Gus, you're good at making speeches, but that was terrible. Oh, somebody made that order, but it wasn't me, even though here's video evidence of me doing it. Later on, we learned he didn't do it, but like, I like that that's his argument. Somebody needs to own up and make a decision, or somebody needs to own up and admit they did wrong. But it wasn't me. I find that so funny.
I'm sorry to see that you're still evading responsibility for your actions, Major.
Yeah, like, what did you think they were going to say, Gus? What did you honestly think they were going to say?
The court has no choice but to find you guilty of disobeying orders and gross dereliction of duty. Until then, Major Bonner is confined to Stargate Command without duties or authority.
But he will still get pay, mind you.
What a shame.
Oh, geez. I wonder who the villain could be. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't want to get into, like, nitpicky stuff, but, like... I mean, I guess they were going to reveal it at some point, so, you know, I'll give them that.
This was uncovered in an Egyptian tomb near where the first Stargate was found. The sarcophagus is made of naquara.
The same alien mineral as the Stargate.
Okay, so this is actually kind of an interesting thing, because as I said earlier, this show is not canon with the rest of the, you know, SG-1 Atlantis and universe. However, it still borrows some elements from this, from the SG-1 stuff that, you know, isn't really present in the movie. So, and I want you to keep that in mind later, because when we learn about how Gus was framed, I want to kind of bringing in certain elements in. But yeah, kind of a little interesting thing here about that.
Stargate Command believes the sarcophagus may contain physical evidence left behind by the ancients who built the Stargates. I've broken the seal. Let's see what's inside.
Oh, it's just a mummy.
Well, I mean, it could still be an ancient. Maybe it's a mummified ancient. You don't know. Also, by the way, I don't want to live in a world where someone looks at a mummy and is just like, oh, it's just a mummy. How boring must your life be for that to be the case?
That's no mummy, science officer. It looks like a statue. Wait, the chest is hollow, with some kind of organic mass inside.
Dr. Mason, it moved.
It's growing!
Oh my god, it's a chest burster. Somebody call the Helldivers. We got a nuke of the Earth. Also, going back a second, they said that this thing was in a, this thing here was in a statue. But if you look in the background, like there's bandages underneath it. So are there bandages inside the statue? Is that how it was wrapped in? And what does the statue itself look like? I'm so curious now on this. Really? Did that really just happen? Did you guys really just do the gag of like hitting each other and then just this show sometimes?
Got it.
How's our patient doing, Miss Montoya?
Dr. Mason, the creature, it's changed.
Can't even go back. You can't even see what the heck's going on in there. It's like, I mean, we later learn it's forming a chrysalis, but I can't even tell what's going on in there.
And if it is the ancient, it's time to stop being Captain Grimes.
I just want to comment. I really like this. It's kind of messed up, but I actually like the way he shapeshifts here, where he opens his mouth like to let his like inner self out. Like seriously, I think this is actually kind of cool. I know it's I remember, I think in my initial video, I was a bit more like, oh, why would you put this on a kid's cartoon? But I don't know, like I was rewatching some cartoon stuff and like, it's kind of weird what we consider acceptable to put in cartoons nowadays, or what was. But I'm looking at this more and I like this. I do think his whole thing of like opening his mouth and like coming out through there is a bit cooler. Not as big as a fan of his like regeneration where he like just kind of slurps up. I mean, it looks good. I'll say that. I don't know. It just feels like a weird, I don't know. It feels like a weird juxtaposition considering how creepy his D transformation is. You know what I mean? It's got a little steam coming off from where he did that. I wonder how much heat that translates. He's got some sticky stuff on his feet here. I wonder,
You know,
if that leaves a
I
residue.
graduated from the academy finish my Stargate training, I'll be going to the stars.
Actually, you'll be going to planets orbiting stars. If you went to a star, you'd be vaporized by the heat.
No danger of that here.
I don't know. I like that line. I don't know why. This chick, that line instantly made her like a favorite character of mine, but I don't think she ever shows up again. I mean, she might show up in episode 2. I don't recall.
When the stun wears off, be sure to tell Stargate Command I said that.
What? Hold it. Hold it. Hold it!
Okay, so he says that he shot them with a stun blast, and he did that for the purpose of knocking them out. But if you go back and we're kind of watching this, like they're knocked out, you could have just left it like this and pan it up to him as he says that, but instead you see them start to get up. So they're conscious of what he's saying. Oh, if the stun wears off, tell Stargate Command I said whatever. But then as he's saying that,
when the stun wears off, be sure to tell Stargate Command I said that.
To operate a Stargate, become a Stargate operator. Being the girl should do it nicely.
also, I'm super confused again. Like, so why would he start talking out loud and he changes? And then hang on a sec. I think you can see. Yeah, I guess in the background, you can still see like her knocked out. So I guess she did just completely fall unconscious again. But again, I'm wondering why. I'll try and show it if I can. I might edit it and show you guys what I'm talking about.
When the stun wears off, be sure to tell Stargate Command I said that. When the stun wears off, be sure to tell Stargate Command I said that.
Like, you could have just still had them unconscious, and it would have been assumed that, like, they would have heard him, but then were still knocked out. But again, they showed them getting up. And also, I question the logic of why he turned into her. Like, is that like, when he shapeshifts, does he attain the knowledge to operate whoever he turned into? And wouldn't Gus already have that knowledge? I don't know, it just seems weird.
It's been 20 years since I went through the first time. I've been through dozens of Stargates since, to dozens of different worlds. Sometimes at night I look at the sky, at the stars, and wonder which ones I've been to. I was never any good at astronomy. Stacy, you want to know what the best world is? The next one. Who opened the iris?
Actually, I'm sorry. I have to nitpick something I just thought of. Why is there no one else in the gate room? So, like, let's go back here. So, here it is, the gate room. This is the central. There's two people in here who are cadets. Why is there nobody else in here? Like, I'd argue that the control room is the most important room in the SGC. It's more important than the gate room, I'd argue, because this actually controls what goes on in the gate room. So why in the world are there only two people in here who are cadets, by the way? Like, honestly, Stargate Command, honestly, is really falling short. I mean, ignoring the spy issue, somebody should get fired for this. But, well, whatever. Also, and I can't help but think of something. I'm sorry to keep pausing and stuff, but why is there, like, no, like, military personnel in the gate room in case something like this happens? How in the world are you alive right now? He took a stun blast straight to the chest. I mean, not even Janet could survive that. Hang on, let me go back and look at this.
What are you? Get down.
Okay. So, okay, yeah, and by the way, I'm sorry if this footage is super blurry. Yeah, the video quality on this stuff is not very high. Okay, so he's running toward the thing. There's the shot. He gets shot. It kind of disperses for a second, and then, like, there's a glow around him, and then he just kind of falls to the ground like that. So what I'm kind of wondering here, if there's two possibilities I'm thinking of. We later learn that these staff weapons have a stun setting. So I wonder if, like, when the Tacon came through, they just fired the stunners, which seems kind of odd. They don't really seem the type to do that. Or if these guys are wearing, like, because it's so far in the future, he's wearing some kind of like energy dampening thing that's underneath this, kind of like like a bulletproof vest is what I'm thinking of. Kind of, or at least a more advanced version of that based on what they were working on in the SGC that disperses the energy like this, which is how he's not dead right now. That's the only thing I could think of. Also, sorry, again, just a little detail I noticed. So this is Dakil. This is like the main antagonist of the show. So here it showed him coming in. It shows him here coming in through the Stargate. And if you go back a bit, go forward, you can see him here again coming through the gate with the initial party. But it's funny because in a second, we're going to see him coming through, after all this fighting happened. Also, this guy also survives this. I guess he must also have that energy dampening thing. Yep, see, there. Yep, see, here's Dakil right here. And then in a second, we're going to see him come through. See, and this is Dakil coming in now, but it's just a little interesting animation error, I guess, or continuity error, I guess is what we can call it. Yeah, so like these two Tacon here on the left look very different than the ones who came out initially. This guy looks more or less the same, so. Also, I can't help but notice in the background, the Stargate seems a little like, the vortex seems to be weirdly like behind like the central space here. I'm pretty sure the central space is where the wormhole is supposed to be, where I'm moving the mouse. Hopefully you guys can see that. I'm assuming you can see it.
Blast the human.
Dang, look at that animation. Let's look at that again. But like, let's look at that little thing there again.
I wish somebody turned off that alarm. What? Gee, thanks.
Blast the human.
I don't know why, but I really like that, the way this shot is. Like, and the way he like moves, like, it looks very fluid for some reason. It looks really fluid. What the fuck? What the hell? Oh my god, that's hilarious. He looks like he's oh my god. Oh my god. Oh no, that's rich. Oh my god, that's hilarious. Can you get any more? Oh wait, what the hell? What the oh my god, this is hilarious. Oh my god, look at that. Look at that. What the hell? Oh my god, Jesus. Oh my god, that's hilarious. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Wait, what was this one? Okay, he's got that like, he's gonna do the creep, y'all. I'm just making references at this point. That was way more funny than it deserved to be. Way more funny. Okay, again, she's moving. Like, he's about to, Nefarious, Nefestus, whatever the hell his name here, is going to start yapping. But, like, she's moving. She's getting up. Why are you saying anything? You're not even disguised as somebody at this point. What are you doing, my guy?
Don't fire. Take me to Dakil.
But, okay, but this is, okay, a couple things about the scene. One, this is Dakil right here. You're asking to be taken to somebody who is literally standing right in front of you. Also, what's with the edit here? Like, let me show you guys what I mean. Like,
don't fire. Take me to Dakil.
See, that was a very weird. It felt like there should have been some kind of pause. I'm gonna try edit that scene in post and show you guys what I mean. Like, there definitely should have been a pause there.
Don't fire. Take me to Dakil.
So, this is an ancient.
Don't fire. Take me to Dakil.
So, this is an ancient. Not much to look at. You serious?
Okay, so jokes aside, what do you guys think about the idea of an ancient who aren't human? I've talked with some people who actually don't like the idea that the ancients were like just humans. And they much prefer the idea the ancients look like something else like Ra's race from the OG movie. So I'm kind of curious, what do you guys think about the idea of like a continuity where the ancients weren't humans. What do you think about that idea? I'm gonna have thoughts on like the actual design they give here, but we'll get to that.
The humans will know someone told us about the ancient and opened the iris on the Stargate. They won't rest until they've found the spy.
Let them look. I've arranged things just like I did on PR-6308. I stole Bonner's helmet to make a recording of his crime. Now I've made it look like Bonner has betrayed Stargate Command to get revenge for being court-martialed.
Dang, look at that, the face that Nefarious here was giving. Like, look at that thing. By the way, I have some problems. Obviously, I have some problems with this supposed plan. Because if we go and relook at his little flashback here, you can see that in the room with Gus, there are at least 2 other guys. So, assumingly, those guys would not be present when Gus was, like, I assume what happened here, based on what Nefarious says, is that Nefarious took the helmet, he then gave the order, and then Gus didn't find out what was going on until he heard the shooting and got out of bed. I'm assuming that's kind of what happened. So if that's true, wouldn't these 2 guys here also be asleep and, wake up and see that Gus was sleeping in the same tent as them? I kind of feel like this could have been fixed if Gus was like either alone or in like a private tent since he's the commanding officer. I don't know. It feels like that was a weird detail to add in that kind of hurts the overall idea. Because now theoretically Gus has 2 people who could back up like, hey, he was asleep in the tent with us when this whole thing went down. Also, I didn't notice this before, but what in the world is going on with like the sky here? Like, seriously, look at it. It's like all like moving or hang on. Yeah, if you look at the sky here, it's like it's all moving and stuff. Like, what the heck is going on with that sky?
Very clever, Hephaestus. Almost worthy of a Tacon.
Now, hit me with the stun blast so it'll look like I tried to stop you.
You were born to be a spy.
By the way, his thing should have opened up with like one of that, like that, that sound that staff weapons make. Because it just looks kind of weird when it's just like, it's going, if it'll go down. Like, you could see it open up. It definitely should have had that shloomp sound. Again, I'll throw a post-edit of what it should look like.
You were born to be a spy. You were born to be a spy.
I wanted to believe you just made a mistake on 308. But you're a traitor, Major. And you know what happens to traitors.
Hi there, post-edit me jumping in here real quick. So while I was editing this, a thought came to my mind. So during this scene, Harrison is accusing Bonner of being a traitor and laying the Tacon in, and Stacy immediately takes Harrison's side because she's distrustful of her uncle and thinks he's guilty. However, if you stop and think about this rationally, this would make a lot of sense because, sure, Harrison thought he saw Bonner in the control room, but Stacy was with Bonner in the gate room when everything went down. And during the scene, Gus himself doesn't even like point this out. Like, Stacy, I was with you when the gate opened. How could it be me? And again, if the characters were thinking rationally, they would stop and be like, wait a second, that doesn't make any sense. No, I actually think it's fair that they don't come to this conclusion because it's a very chaotic thing going on right now. They're under attack and they don't have the time to stop and think about this. However, my issue is that as far as I can recall, this is never really brought up later. There might be an episode where they learn about the shapeshifters that they might bring it up. Like, hey, how could you be 2 different places at once? Again, I don't mind that in this moment they don't think about it. But again, and I might eat my words on this later, as far as I can remember, they didn't ever bring this up later. So just felt the need to point this out.
Not your day, huh, Major?
Oh, by the way, I feel like I should comment on this now. I do not like the fact that like their weapons are these wrist-mounted laser things like Buzz Lightyear. I just don't like them. I mean, it's kind of a cool idea, I guess, because like, it's hard to knock that out of your hand, but I don't know. Just, it feels weird for Stargate because they do have weapons. I don't like the weapons they made for the soldiers to carry, but them running around like shooting their arms like Buzz Lightyear looks a little silly.
What's wrong?
Nobody knows that they saw it, but they did.
So this might be a good time to kind of address something about Seattle. So Seattle has, as we're later going to find out throughout the series, has psychic powers. She can, she has a connection with the ancient who we're going to meet later. And it seems to have like a very psychic connection and kind of see things. And people have pointed out like that kind of ties into certain Native American stereotypes. The idea that they have this weird psychic or spiritual connection with like nature or the universe that makes them kind of special and different. And I kind of thought this way too till I learned something. So Seattle's voice actress, Bettina Bush, who by the way is a very prominent voice actor. She voiced Rainbow Bright.
This place has a strange, sad feeling. They wanted, and then they argued, fought, until they were all gone.
Sometimes the hard jobs are the ones that are really worth doing.
She voiced Gloria from Madagascar in a lot of the video games.
Good boy.
Aw, Marty, don't be blue-striped. Chin up. It is your birthday after all.
Anyway, she's actually part Native American herself, and she actually, according to that article that I brought up earlier, she actually really likes Seattle and felt it was a good representation, a person, and kind of like like the fact that she was Native American. It kind of was an example of Native Americans in fiction, which, by the way, she also went on to voice Kai Green in Ben 10, who also was kind of a Native American.
That's it. I sense it understands that we're friends. What makes you think I can't take care of myself?
I didn't say that. I thought
that I'm a damsel in distress? That I need a knight in shining armor to save me?
Or I'm sorry, she wasn't kind of Native American. She was Native American. So yeah, I suppose there's an argument to be made about the whole like psychic powers thing, but the voice actress had no problem with it, and according to her, she got a lot of fan mail from Stargate fans. All of it which was positive according to her, including a colored drawing of Seattle that a girl asked her to sign because she liked that character. So you know what? I'm gonna give like the whole psychic powers a pass thing. I like the idea. It's just the execution is a little, it's not exactly the best. But first episode, and we're gonna have like 26 others to look at. So you'll see what I mean later about that.
The Tacon may have already reached the lab and taken the creature.
What do we do now?
Head him off at the pass. Okay, forget it. They used to say that in westerns. Cowboy movies? It's before your time. Let's go. After you.
Yeah. Okay, then. Let's go.
I like how awkward that whole thing was. Like it's kind of like she's mad at her uncle because she thinks he's a traitor, but like he's not exactly like doing like the things you think a traitor would do, like yelling "I'm innocent" or like decrying like, "Oh, well, Stargate Command deserves this." Kind of interesting.
Prepare the Stargate for return.
Also, I just noticed something. So Echo is running here like he has like a blaster, like he's doing the arm thing, but he doesn't have one. He doesn't have like an armband to fire lasers with.
They need our help in there.
Just stay where you are, sir.
Guess not.
Wait, where did that blast come from? Let me go back and check something here because I guess that must have been a stray blast that came in from like the area, but you think it weird that like, I mean, I guess it makes sense.
Guess not.
12 seconds later.
Hang on, I'm so confused. So let's see if we can understand what's going on here. So, okay, so he's saying he gets shot, which I assumed came from like the outside battle shot and hit him. But I guess it must have come behind him because there's two Tacon coming through. Also, yes, once again, Tequila's teleported to be outside of the battle, to be behind and come up. So I'm just so confused on so many things right now.
Kid, get down! Thank me later. They've got us cut off. Let's get with the others.
Also, hang on. I just noticed one more thing. Like he's wearing Bonner's wearing black gloves here, but then like he's still wearing the black gloves. Still wearing the black gloves. Still wearing the black gloves. And now he doesn't have black gloves. Keep an eye on Bonner's hands. If I recall something, this happens a lot in the first 2 episodes. He is constantly switching between not having gloves and having gloves.
They'll have the Stargate set to take them back to their base.
Yeah, but they won't be expecting us.
What about what you said about him?
I don't know. This could be the guy who shot me, or it could be the guy who's been helping us fight the bad guys. Somebody's got to make a choice, right or wrong, and deal with it.
I actually kind of like the fact that he later kind of learned I guess the lesson did end up mattering a little bit, so that's kind of nice.
Let's do it.
This idea is crazy and stupid, and I love it. By the way, just something I think kind of unique about this series is that, like, the characters actually have vehicles that they use regularly. Obviously, this was probably for the idea of selling toys and stuff. But honestly, if that's what it takes for us to get vehicles in Stargate, I'm more than happy for it. Like, give me some toys to buy, dang it.
Oh, I think I've got gate lag. Oh, nobody warned me.
What are you doing, Major?
Setting a new destination on the Stargate, a planet I know.
That they'll just follow us through the Stargate.
No, they won't.
When did you have time to get that? Did you just have that on you, or was that something in the car? But admittedly, that is kind of a cool thing for a thing to have, honestly. All right, so that was episode 1. I kind of want to save some of my thoughts on it till we get to episode 2, because even though they are treated as 2 different episodes that did air like a week apart from each other, I kind of consider this a 2-parter. We kind of have to take both parts at the same time, because like that's when you get the whole cast together. So, by the way, sorry if I sound out of breath. I've been talking for like over an hour in the raw footage, which is going to be a lot to get through. I kind of wonder where timeline-wise this is going to fall. And right off the bat, we have a little bit of a kind of animation here because the gate's dialing, but the wormhole is already the puddle's already there. There's the wormhole, or I guess the vortex that leads to the wormhole. Also, I can't help but notice, let's go back here a second. To the opening shot is the Stargate, if I can get to it. Yeah, the Stargate here is just kind of sitting upright with nothing to hold it. I'm pretty sure if you put a circle there, it would just start spinning and not in the way it's meant to. Also, I like how you can see the DHD in the background, but for some reason it looks like a snow cone for some reason.
Whoa, a dog's dream planet. Nothing but trees.
I'll admit, it took me a second to get that joke.
Whoa, that alien chrysalis just keeps getting creepier.
I'm gonna open the Stargate.
Also, I haven't noticed, but was the chrysalis always out of the container? Last I remember, it was in like the box. Did they take it out of the box?
Get back to Earth.
Also, and I didn't even notice it. I thought I heard it in the background here, but if you actually look in this scene here, you see like an iris, which, to be fair, this is an alternate timeline, universe, whatever you want to call it. So usually in the main one, only Earth or the Atlantis gate has like an iris or an iris equivalent. Again, this is its own universe, so that's fine, but just something I thought I'd mention.
No one can get in unless they know the new codes.
Good, Captain. I don't want any more surprises. And I sure never thought he'd turn traitor.
General, I saw Major Bonner take over the control room. He had to be the one who opened the iris for the Tacon.
Okay, we're not going to give crap to the cadet because she doesn't have the information that the other characters have. And to be fair, Harrison thought the same thing.
Something's wrong. The GDO's working, but it won't open the iris.
Duck!
Hit the dirt!
Get down!
Wait, was that a creature screeching? You know that's not how that... Okay, it's all the little details they're going to get to me.
And whatever it was, it's just a bunch of scattered molecules now. Good work, Mr. Grimes.
Cadet Bonner to Stargate Command. Come in, Command. I'm not making contact either.
Wait, hang on a second. That's actually a good point what Stacy just tried to do, because you can use the radios to like send a message like, hey, we're on the other side and stuff. Like, why is that not working? Like, I understand the GDO not being accepted because they consider it like the one Bonner has as being bad, but like, why couldn't they send a radio signal through?
The receiver at command is programmed to screen out radio noise coming through the Stargate. Maybe our signals have accidentally been classified as noise.
Okay, actually, never mind. They just answered it, so now I feel like an idiot.
Maybe it wasn't an accident. Maybe somebody doesn't want me to contact command and explain how I was set up to...
Okay, also, I'm sorry. This is very... okay, so they're giving a very good explanation here about what's going on, that Mr. Grimes is like filtering out their radios so contact can't be made. You just saw that Gus was wearing black gloves here. Well, again, if I can get to the frickin' shot. Yeah, he's wearing black gloves, but then when they're giving the explanation...
Signals have accidentally been classified as noise.
Maybe...
Yeah, see, he's got the, he's wearing gloves again. I knew that was going to come up again.
An accident.
So what do we do now?
The Tacon will try to follow us if they can. Probably just as well we aren't staying. I was here a few months ago with an SG team, and the squirrels are pretty dangerous.
You guys couldn't even handle some squirrels?
The squirrels are actually... I love how I paused this, because you can see, like, he heard the thing behind him, and he's like, oh god. But no, the reason I paused was because actually, yeah, squirrels are no joke. Apparently, my brother, he went out on a Boy Scout trip to New Mexico when he climbed a mountain. Apparently they call those things out there mini bears because they are just menaces. But let's keep going.
Get out of there, Harrison!
What the heck is that thing's shell made of that can deflect a laser blast? Also, let's see if we can get a clear shot. You might know. So I've always noticed this because if you play the intro, which I'll have it up on screen now, this creature actually shows up there. But you notice that its bottom or underside doesn't have like any armor or anything. Little bit of inconsistency is going to keep popping up here. So just interesting note. Actually, yeah, this would have been a better shot to pause it on. That would have been a better one.
Is that what you call a squirrel?
Well, seemed funny at the time.
Not a funny joke, Bonner. Not funny.
I'm getting them back. Harrison and that blasted cocoon.
Guess he's saving me for dessert.
Good thing I can tell you from the rest of the nuts.
Lucky I landed on something soft.
Oh god, they're gonna eat him. Slowly.
These guys.
We called them the Thorn. This is the village we contacted when I was here before with my SG team.
Oh my god, he landed on a baby. That is that's a bold choice, not gonna lie. I'm actually kind of happy they included this. That's a pretty interesting way to have some stuff happen.
Gee, I hope I didn't hurt him when I crashed.
My Thorn's a little rusty, but I think the kid was all...
Also, yeah, I don't know if you guys caught that. If you go back a bit, like he's wearing, you can kind of see Bonner's got his black gloves on here. He's got him here. Yeah, he didn't have him here, so in the next shot, they go away.
The chrysalis looks undamaged.
Also, is it me or is that chrysalis like changing size? Like earlier, it seemed like when that creature was holding it, it seemed to be almost as big as Harrison, but now it's like small enough that Echo can pick it up.
Thorns say the whole village is sick. Sick bad.
That's a shame. Maybe I could get the first aid kit and...
You don't understand. It started right after I was here. All these people could die, and it's probably my fault.
Major Bonner, it has to be a coincidence your team was here. All team members are screened for infectious disease before a mission. They wouldn't let you through the Stargate.
I came down with a cold right after that mission.
What about before the mission? Did you show any symptoms?
Well, I felt kind of achy.
And you didn't report it?
I'm old, I get achy. I thought it was just sore muscle.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I hate to keep pointing this out, but like, how do you... Like, let's really go back and watch this. here. So as again, he's wearing the black glove. Literally in the next shot, he's not wearing it. It sucks too, because I actually really love that line. I'm old, I get achy. I always chuckle at that.
This is Nephestus to Tacon, Patan. Come in,
All right, so his name is Nephestus.
I have a message for Tacon.
So I'm kind of curious. Do you think that works like the Tolan thing, where Omek shot like a beam into space? Do you think it kind of works like this device works like that?
They cannot return to Earth.
Excellent. Send him my commendation.
He wants one thing.
He makes demands of me?
Request only. Gus Bonner may come to suspect how he was made to look like a traitor. To protect himself, Nephestus wants Bonner eliminated.
Is that all?
But wait, didn't in the last episode he said he kind of assured that Bonner would be like, he wouldn't have to worry about being exposed because he blamed Bonner? I mean, don't get me wrong. I actually like the fact that he's thinking of this, because that's a good point. As long as Bonner is alive, like, his cover could always be blown. I just kind of, I don't know, just something about the way it feels a bit whiplashy here.
Tell him from me, Pakal. It will be done.
It will be done. I don't know why, but I love Dakil's voice. Again, I'm going to go into voice actors like later on, because Dakil's apparently is a very interesting voice actor. It's kind of funny, but again, I like the way he sounds here.
We need you to pick a destination and make sure we get there with the chrysalis.
I've got a job to do here.
And if the Tlacan get their hands on it,
Then you take it through the star.
Okay, wait, you all saw that, right? Okay, we're going to go frame by frame, people, frame by frame. So he makes a grab, Echo makes a grab on Bonner. Okay, I hate that I have to kind of, okay, yeah. So he goes from one glove, a gloveless hand and a gloved hand, to it being gloved, still gloved. Is his hand down? Okay, his hand's down. Let's see where it goes. Okay, still gloved. Okay, so it is gloved the rest of the way, but like, you all saw that, right? Like, it goes from a single frame of it not being gloved to suddenly it being gloved. I hate to kind of focus on that, but I remember it from when I was looking at these episodes years ago. I'm like, why is it like, I understand. I said it earlier, the animators were really kind of not paid well, and they didn't have really the technology to do sometimes the show.
I live with my choices, Cadet. It's called taking responsibility.
Yeah, and maybe you don't care if the Tacon get their hands on the Ancient.
You still haven't explained what happened back at Stargate Command. How the Tacon got through the Stargate defenses?
I don't know how they got through, but I do know what I've got to do now.
So this is kind of interesting because, okay, on the one hand, objectively, Bonner is wrong here. Like, I understand he feels responsible for the Thorn getting sick and all that stuff. But like, at the same time, like, everyone else is bringing up really good points. And I like the fact that that's actually happening, because it says something about Bonner, especially what he just said, what he said this line.
I live with my choices, Cadet. It's called taking responsibility.
Like, that kind of ties into something he said back in episode 1, that, you know, being adult, you have to own up to your decisions or something to that effect. So I like the fact that he's kind of staying with that certain character development. It says something, you know, about him as like, obviously a hero that, you know, we want to support and stuff. Although, again, objectively, he is wrong here. I can kind of see where he's getting at.
We're wasting time. I'm taking the rat.
Wait, they call that thing a rat?
I'm staying. When I was a girl on the reservation, I hung out with an old healer. Maybe I learned something.
Maybe you learned something? I hope you learned something. Okay, I'm being unfair. That's unfair. Although I do want to say that it's interesting that Seattle has that history, because, again, from what I understand of her voice actor, she actually did do work on a reservation. So I think that's kind of cool.
What about you two? Are you staying too?
My mother fled her planet because of Tlacan attacks. We have to protect the chrysalis.
Oh, man. I thought when I joined the Air Force, I wouldn't have to think anymore. I just have to follow orders.
Echo's kind of has my response, like, really, dude? Also, I do like, Echo said something rather interesting just there about his mother's having to flee her planet because of the Tacon, however you say their name. I'm getting mixed up now. Which I do think is interesting, because the timeline kind of states that Bonner's first encounter was the first time humanity had met the Tacon. Maybe it's not the first time they heard of them, just the first time they met them. But Honestly, that's something we can kind of talk about when we get to an Echo episode. Okay, hang on a second. Go back. Okay, so now the Stargate has like a proper like thing to stand on. And I like how you still see the Stargate over here, but I find it interesting that adding that in now. Also, something I don't think I've commented on this. Now I'm thinking about it, but here and earlier in episode 2, I can't remember if they did it in episode 1. They seem to set the Stargate by spinning the dials versus pressing buttons like in SG-1. It's kind of interesting. I admit, when I was a kid, my grandparents had this like old rotary phone I would play with because it was just so interesting to spin the dial. So I kind of like that change. It's an interesting idea.
Hey, the chrysalis of the ancient, it's changing again.
Oh, so I guess that's the explanation of why maybe it's changing size, is that it's just constantly changing at a rapid pace, which is interesting.
It's hatching.
I'm sorry. Can we go back there for a second? Don't worry. I'm not going to burst into laughter again, but I just thought that was hilarious. Can we see that again?
It's hatching.
I like how Echo just walks in with his mouth open like, duh. I don't know why, but Harrison kind of too, but at least Harrison was standing there. It's like, oh my God. And then Echo walks up and is like, oh my God. Also interesting. Now that I've paused the frame, I'm just noticing that Harrison's like lower chest doesn't have the red lights or whatever is supposed to be there. I mean, say what you want about the Tacon, at least they knew to bring like a tank through. I mean, how many times in Stargate did races who use the gate just send like, infantry through, or like vehicles like this? These guys brought an actual tank. I have to respect that.
Once you ancients ruled the universe, but now you are mine.
So kind of an interesting thing here I just noticed. They technically have 2 of the same scene playing. I'll try and throw it up on screen like now to kind of show you.
Cease firing! Once you ancients ruled the universe, but now you are mine. Revive them! Revive them! They will live long enough to tell me where to find Gus Bonner.
So it's like the same audio, but 2 different scenes. I remember sometimes TV shows would do this. Like they would go to commercial, like there would have been a commercial break right there. And then they come back and remind you of what just happened. That's not criticism of the show, by the way. Plenty of shows did this back in the day, but just something I thought interesting. I don't like the way he did. I don't like the way Tacon said, that felt very weird. Yep. I'm gonna wait till we get a better shot of Draga. By the way, that's her name. Before I talk about her design, but just yeah, that was I'm sorry, I'm so distracted by what the heck was that from Tacon? Okay, can we see that again? Okay, so I understand Stacy's a soldier, but I'm kind of calling bullcrap. And by the way, I'm not saying that because she's a woman. I'm saying like I don't think any human can lift these like giant reptile meat sacks over them like that. Like no, just no. I don't believe. Echo I can believe because he's an alien, but no, I don't believe like given the sizes, there's no way she would have done that. Again, Echo I can believe because he's an alien and probably has super strength or something.
This is Commander Tacon of the Tacon Empire. The village is in our control. Unless Gus Bonner and the Ancient are surrendered to me, the village and everyone in it will be destroyed. If you want the Thorn to live, surrender Bonner and the Ancient.
But before he continues, this is a very interesting design for like a megaphone, I think. I kind of like it. It's got like 4 holes and stuff. Although I'm kind of thinking, I'm trying to remember, do they use this as a gun later? we're gonna have to keep an eye on this.
Looks like I'll get a chance to save the Thorn after all.
You can't just give yourself up.
And we don't have the Ancient to give them.
Even if we could give them everything they want, they might still destroy the village.
We know they will if I don't do something. Get these guys home again.
And this is another instance of stuff I like about this. This is actually a scene I really like. I kind of wish it played out a bit more, but like the characters actually they consider their options. If Gus does nothing, the village gets destroyed. But they also don't have the Ancient to turn in. And Harrison, I thought, brought up a really good point that even if you do give into their demands, you have no guarantee they're going to honor it. We know that odds are the Tacon won't. I specifically know because, again, I know later stuff that happens. Megan, I like this scene. I wish it played out a bit longer. Like there was a couple more like just pauses and stuff. But honestly, good scene.
Maybe it's all a trick. Maybe he really is helping the clock on. You don't really believe that.
Are we just gonna let him walk in there all...
What? Wait, what? I'm sorry. What the heck? Go back. Go back. Go back.
It's all a trick. Maybe he really is helping the clock on. You don't really believe that.
Are we just gonna let him walk in there?
Again, what the heck? Heck, I like how Stacy just goes from like 0 to 100. And I mean that like she goes from like, I hate her to, or I hate my uncle to, I'm going to cry about his sacrifice and stuff. I don't know. It just seems like a scene got cut or something.
They're all alone.
Oh.
I'm sorry. That's not epic. That's not very epic, guys.
I'm giving myself up.
By the way, this is actually, I'm kind of noticing it now, and I noticed it a bit earlier, but I like it here if we can go back a couple frames. Something I kind of like about the Tacon is that they're obviously bipedal. They can stand on two legs. But I like how sometimes they have to go to all four if they're doing a certain motion. Like earlier we saw when shooting a gun while like on all threes. He had like, he had his arm down while shooting. And here Tequila's like spinning, but when he does so, he has to put his hand on the ground. I kind of like that. It's kind of cool. Like they're not like just human built, if that makes any sense.
I'm giving myself up, Tacon, or whatever your name is. Leave the Thorn alone.
Where is the Ancient?
Whatever hatched out of that chrysalis is gone. In the forest somewhere. We don't have it.
Then I will destroy the Thorn.
See, like he's doing it again. He's like turning, but he has to like put his hand down to kind of like rotate. Again, I kind of like that. It's a really cool motion, I think. Also, of course, I pause on a hilarious scene again. And also, I just realized once again, Gus does not have gloves on. Ugh. I swear, I'm tempted to start a counter of every time it happens, but it's happened so many times, I don't really want to.
Actually, I was planning to anyway, even if you gave me the Ancient.
Of course.
You'll be doing them a favor. They've all got some kind of plague.
Then let them suffer. You, on the other hand.
See, that's kind of it. That's really interesting. I like Gus's quick thinking there because, obviously, since the Tacon are kind of cartoonishly written as evil, it kind of makes sense to be like, okay, we're going to let them suffer rather than kill them. I kind of like that quick thinking from Bonner.
I will eliminate immediately.
Wait, hold on a second. Why are there two Tequils? There are two Tequils. Like, here's the Tequil talking, and then that's Tequil in the background. Has his teleportation powers allowed? Is that how he's getting around? He's not teleporting. There's a duplicate. He has a twin or something.
Pagal, your weapon. Stop, you fools! That's the Ancient.
Wait, hold on. Isn't that's the device Bonner used earlier? Is that just like a general technology that's like common in this galaxy, or is that like human technology? Is that Tacon? This is weird. I do love that face. I don't know why, but that cracks me up. Not as funny as earlier, but still up there. Also, hang on a second. I just realized something. Go back. So Echo is firing something from his wrist, but I don't recall him wearing like he's not wearing an energy blaster unless he can just do that from his species. I don't recall. Again, it's maybe he can do that in his species, and I just forgot. We're gonna have to keep an eye on this. Although, if we're being honest here, it's probably more likely just that they forgot that he doesn't have any weapon or anything. Okay, so this is the largest view of the tank we're gonna get before it gets destroyed here. I kind of like it. It's an interesting design for for a tank. I got nothing else to say. I just kind of like it. I think it's cool. I would definitely have bought this if it was an actual toy. Okay, what the heck is that thing? Because again, when Gus used it, it caused an explosion, and there it caused the whole tank to melt like butter. Like, what is that thing?
Food storehouse for the Thorn.
I don't understand it. Why didn't the Tacon put up more of a fight?
So that's actually kind of a legitimate question. Like, why didn't they? When you think about it.
Hold your fire. It's the ancient, or whatever she is.
She looks more like my old math teacher in high.
Also, something I'm noticing is that there's this weird shot thing going on because Harrison in the background, it looks to be kind of like evening-ish. If you go back to like when Draga, it looks like it's nighttime. And if you go back even further, yeah, like the color palette seems to indicate that it's nighttime.
Put up more of a fight.
But okay, so like still nighttime. Harrison, it's suddenly like evening-ish.
It's the ancient,
Then back to night.
or whatever she is.
She looks more like my old math teacher in high school. We called her the Dragon Lady. My math teacher had longer fingernails.
And then we're back to night.
Careful, Seattle.
Okay, so this might be a good time to talk about Draga's design and stuff. I don't know how to feel about it because it's not terrible. It's just, I don't know. Something about it just I'm really trying to think of what to say here because there's nothing really wrong with it. I think my big issue is just like it feels like there's a height inconsistency. Like it feels like Draga is designed to be like this really, at the very least, tall creature compared to everybody else, which kind of feels like a little off balance. I think she should have been like a bit smaller, maybe around the same size as everybody else.
She won't hurt me. She wants to know something.
Know what?
Everything.
Actually, no, this is a better scene, I think. Also, I like that sound they're making. What the heck was that? Okay, and what the heck is... Okay, so much stuff to go over. Okay, so let's go back a bit. We got Seattle trying to, mind meld with Draga here. Okay, you saw that. Her head, it like beats for a second. And then Stacy here, for some reason, has developed a tan, I guess, for being on this planet for a day, because her skin tone is noticeably darker. Because you go back to earlier shots, she and Bonner kind of have the same skin tone. But here it looks like she has a definitive tan to it. And then you got Harrison, who every time it cuts to him, like the background colors shift to being kind of, again, a very evening-ish color versus the night colors they've been using. Actually, you know what? This is the best shot of Draga we're going to get, so let's really look at this. Again, I think the big issue I have with Draga is, again, she seems a bit too big. I don't know, it's especially later on when we see her in the car driving with the team. Something about that looks kind of odd given her size. I think she should have been scaled down a bit to be about the same size as a human. Like, I think the single tail thing works and her flying and stuff. I think it's just what bothers me is her actual size. She seems a way, not too big, but just big enough that I'm noticing it.
Now I know. You good. Tacon. Bad.
What do we call you? What is your name?
I am born. Others give me a name. Draga.
Sometimes there's nothing you can do.
I do not like the way she's making that noise. Also, that was the Stargate sound effect. That's like the Stargate opening or closing or something. The point is that's a weird sound to make right there. Also, kind of interesting thing about this. So this is clearly her doing some kind of like this is her using some sort of ancient healing power, which interestingly enough, I don't think we saw this from the ancients till the episode Frozen in SG-1, which aired the same year this show was coming out. So I kind of wonder how much overlap there was between this show. We know, again, that article I've been kind of referencing this entire time, it stated that there wasn't really a lot of communication between the SG-1 writers and the makers of this show. So I wonder how much of like how much they were told. Like, do you think they were told that this was going to be introduced, like the ability of the ancients to heal others? Or do you think it was written basically as a plot like thing? Like, oh, we need to heal the thorn, so let's just have Draga do it because she's an ancient and is uber powerful. You kind of see what I'm getting at there?
To move your village deeper into the forest so that Tacon can't find you again.
Yes, Bonner. The Tacon, who we later learn have starships, so they can theoretically travel between planets, are totally going to abandon, looking for the thorn because they move deeper into the forest and away from the Stargate. Now, who am I saying? That's actually how the Wraith and Goa'uld operate. So who the heck are we talking about? The Tacon probably operate the same way.
I don't know what happened to their commander.
He lives.
How do you know that?
Did your people build the Stargates?
I don't know the Stargates. I don't know other worlds. All I can.
By the way, I've been kind of noticing it here, these last few scenes, but like if you notice Draga's little like spike thing here, normally it's the same color as like her face, but right now it's like the same color as like her outer wing. Or actually, I guess it's closer to the horns or like the bone parts. I'm sorry, can we go at the back there for a second and look at what Harrison was doing? I got distracted. Like, yeah, you see, this is actually a good point. Like, Draga's like spike thing here looks like sort of this part here, this like tip or claw, whatever you call it. And then as soon as it cuts to the next scene, it's suddenly the same color as like her wing color.
Now I follow you.
Where are we going?
I like it the way Harrison flew in there. It literally looks like the way I would describe it and the way it looks is it kind of looks like they had like a PNG version of him and he just kind of like swoops in with some motion key frames and stuff. And that was the first 2 episodes of Stargate Infinity. Honestly, it wasn't too bad. I've stated this before in other videos, but I felt the story set up for Infinity is really cool. You have a soldier who has been framed for a crime he didn't commit and due to various circumstances has to go on the run to clear his name. He has a team to help him, but instead of a group of special forces, it's a group of young adults who don't have much experience. Said team is also carrying a very special individual who could change the fate of the galaxy. Again, the setup is cool, and something I like is the reliance on the gates in this situation. Something I noticed about Stargate as it went on is that the shows relied more and more on ships over gate in a lot of the stories, which to be fair made sense in those stories and the overall universe. But I like that here the team has to rely on using the gates to get around because they don't have a choice. And unlike other shows, this team doesn't have a safe harbor to fall back to. Even the characters get a decent setup for their development as the series would go on. Echo has some backstory involving his mother fleeing from her home, Seattle with her psychic powers and her backstory involving a reservation. Harrison is set up as a bit cocky but can be a decent guy with an occasional funny line. Stacy has some issues with her uncle, and Bonner has to try and clear his name. Not to mention the overall goal of protecting the Ancient and saving the galaxy from a hostile empire. On that note, Tequila is a bit of a cartoonish villain, but I kind of find his villainy funny, and let's not pretend the Goa'uld couldn't get silly at times either. The only real disappointment is Draga. Admittedly, she was just born and doesn't have much of a character, but to be fair, that's an issue with the series as a whole. Again, because I have kind of future knowledge, I know none of this stuff will really get picked on, at least in the depth that I would personally like. But at least the setup, again, is there. And then I don't want to say a better series, but one that had more time to cook could have been really good. Though, now that I'm thinking about Draga, I did want to bring up that while editing this video, it did occur to me that her design very much looks like the Feathered Serpent. This show seems to go for a more Mesoamerican look with the villains and the ancient, if Draga has anything to go on, which honestly would have been kind of cool, though again, I do think she should have been just a bit smaller. Again, the overall setup is good, but there is an issue, or issues, as these episodes kind of suffer from death by 1,000 cuts. There were a lot of little issues. The biggest was just the technical stuff. Bonner's gloved and ungloved hands, the changing of night and day, or Dakil duplicating all over the place. And while editing, I noticed a few more errors like that. I decided not to mention those because admittedly, I only noticed them because I was going through this video with a fine-tooth comb, trying to make sure I don't get copyrighted, fingers crossed. So odds are this is something you probably would notice if you were just watching the episodes casually. But the ones I mentioned earlier, such as the changing gloves, are kind of a bit bigger and more prominent. I understand the animators were in a tough position, but that excuse, at least in my opinion, only goes so far. While these errors didn't necessarily affect the story, it kept pulling me out of what was going on. Though most of them are contrivances, such as only 2 cadets being in the control room when Grime came in. Also, something I thought of is I guess in the future the SGC has no cameras, otherwise they probably would have caught Grime shapeshifting in the halls. To be fair, SG-1 had errors and goofs. For example, in Child of the Gods, Apophis walks back into a Stargate, which shouldn't be possible. Overall, I think with some tweaking, these 2 episodes could have been a good opening. As of now, they're honestly fine. There's worse to come, and we will get to those. I know I've been kind of saying that throughout this breakdown. We'll get to it when we get to it, but that's just kind of the reality of when you're looking at a 26 episode show. This is the start of a new series for the channel, but don't worry, there will still be the usual lore and kind of analysis of Stargate and maybe some other stuff as the new year comes along. I don't know when the next episode for this series is going to come out. I'm thinking maybe once a month, but again, we'll see how it goes. And hopefully later on, once we get past Infinity, or maybe even during this sort of breakdown of Infinity, we'll look at some other Stargate episodes. What do you all think? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below, leave a like and subscribe, follow me on my social medias. And remember...
Well, I felt kinda achy.
And you didn't report it?
I'm old, I get achy.